Alright guys, the time is now for a showdown between the Warriors of Chaos, who are going to be led by KHOLEKZILLA, and Norsca, who's going to be led by Big Daddy Throgg. So here we are yet again with another Monster Mash showdown, and of all the matchups, I think this is one of the ones that you're going to see the most heavy monsters in. So for example, I have a giant Dragon Ogres, I also have Kholek, and seeing regular Shagus is also very common in this matchup. And Norsca is definitely one of the factions that can respond in kind. They have their Mammoths, Throgg, they have Fimir, just all kinds of big scary monsters. So it definitely makes for some pretty fun cinematic showdowns. But as far as my build goes, in the front line, we do have a combination of the Chaos Warriors with great weapons, and in the center, we do have the Mirror Guard. So the Chaos Warriors with great weapons, as their name, well, not as their name would infer, they're going to cause chaos, but basically, they have good armor piercing, and most of the time, Norsca is going to be using champions in the front line, Marauder champions with great weapons, and these guys are able to match them pretty cost efficiently. So they have 38, 35, and 30... Yeah, so 38, 35, 38, and then these bad boys do have 36, 32, and 40. So a little bit more weapon strength, but of course we do have the armor advantage and a couple other decent stat advantages. So Chaos Warriors is going to be going fisticuffs. In the center, we do have the Mirror Guard. So the Mirror Guard are here because they're immune to psychology, and they have really good defensive stats. Essentially, I didn't want to have a giant, send the giant in with some infantry, they rout off and leave it alone to die. So basically, I have the Mirror Guard to just kind of hold and allow the big Papa Giant here in the back to just do some clubbing and have a good old time. So that's pretty much it for my front line. On the far flanks, I do have two groups of the standard Chaos Marauders, just to kind of fight, get around the back, fight against spears, deal with hounds, that kind of thing. So for our big monsters, we have the Summoners of Rage, a great anti-large armor-piercing tool against both Fimir and Mammoths, and we do also have Kholek. Kholek is a very solid pick, a little bit susceptible to focus fire and sniping. Of course, the Shaman Sorcerer here, who might have Spirit Leech, it looks like he doesn't, so there's not going to be any sniping on Kholek in that regard, but hunters, javelins, he's a very big juicy target, so you have to be careful, but if you are careful, he can be a huge game changer. This bad boy is a monster against other big targets, just insane stats, massive armor piercing, and a really good bonus for large. We also have one group of Chaos Chariots. So the Chaos Chariots, I was like, hey, it's going to be a little bit tricky to get into the back of the Norscan line with all their mass, so I'm like, let's get something that can kind of do a little bit of a sneaky push through the front line, get through those great weapons, get on top of the Marauder Hunters, and have a little bit of fun. Granted, the Hounds and Beasts of Tashnar and units like that, which he does have, are both relative counters against Chariots. I mean, Chariots don't have enough Hounds to really push through enough mass to push through Hounds. I don't know why my brain confused that, but yeah, if we're careful and we kind of pull them up and back and then go through the front line, I think we can net some value. So we got the Warhounds with poison ourselves, which will lose to the Norscan Hounds, especially the Beasts of Tashnar, but we're going to be careful and see if we can just get them on top of those Hunters here. And for my opponent, the mighty King of the Dead. In the front line, he does have the Marauder Champions with great weapons, two groups of Marauder Hunters, and then also Feral Mammoths. So ever since the Vampire Coast patch, or DLC, these guys have been really strong. I mean, all the Mammoths got a pretty significant buff to their radius and their impact, and they seem to be a little bit more accurate just from my anecdotal assessment. So these Feral Mammoths definitely very powerful for only 1,500 gold. So we're going to see how these two bad boys do on the battlefield. And he does also have Throgg. So I think he's going to be using the Mammoths as like a high mass tool just to kind of slow down Kholek and allow Big Daddy Throgg to get over there and potentially do some work. In the back, he does have the Ice Storm Marauders, two Spears on the flanks, and two groups of Hounds. That's pretty much it. So guys, let's get this show on the road. So my armies are going to be advancing. The Mirror Guard is going to be going right up the pipe against these champs, which I don't know who would win in like a head-to-head, but obviously taking these axes to the face initially is not fun. I do have the shields, but of course they have the shield breaker, and it's not going to be fun. So the Mammoth coming in, this is what you guys are here for. Slow motion Mammoth pounding, and this guy's going to be getting in there and cleaving a bunch of my troops, I'm sure. Kholek's going to be responding, and the Summoners of Rage, I think, are crossing over somewhere. I think I had them on this side of the battlefield, and they're going to be rotating over here to deal with that Mammoth. But it's going to be a good fight, but Throgg's coming in, definitely no joke. And I think for the spells, he had Purple Sun and Doom and Darkness. But seeing Throgg come in, I do pull back and I let the Giant go in first. I'm like, let's let the Giant go fisticuffs. And it looks like he hit Throgg, but it maybe didn't make contact there for a second. Maybe his melee attack wasn't enough for the mighty Throgg. And I do use a Lord of the Storm in the back. And the Chariots also get in. So the Chariots doing a little bit of work. I have caused some issues in the back line. And it looks like Soul Blight's going to be going down. So I do pop the Soul Blight, which does lower the weapon damage. And now we have, like, I articulated before, we have the Monster Mash. So here the Mammoth is doing a great job. The champions are obviously winning the fight now because this Mammoth is just ramshackling my forces. So very beautiful play. Summoners of Rage are going to be going in, and my Poison Hounds do a bit of a loop-de-loop. They come up and they're going to be going right through here and attacking these Marauders. So we get a very good jump onto these guys. But Chaos Marauder Hunters aren't pushovers. I mean, they have 36 melee attacks. They're going to be able to fend off the Hounds unlike a lot of other missile units. Looks like a big Purple Sun on the far side was a bit of a swing and a miss on some of my troops there, so I got pretty lucky in that respect. But here we have a nice little 2v1 on the Mammoth, so we're hitting the Mammoth, hopefully getting some damage, but it seems like he's getting the upper hand on this trade here. I mean, Kholek's taking a bit of work. I got very little damage in on the Mammoth, and Throgg seems like he was able to come in on the steel chair and do some good damage as well. So we do turn our focus here onto Throgdaddy, and Throgdaddy seems to be pretty durable here. I mean, he's taking a couple hits from Kholek, but my Giant's taking damage, Kholek is taking damage. It's not going terribly well in this center monster mode. But yeah, you can see Throg just giving the business to Kholek right here. Very solid stuff for my opponent. And the Chariots are going to be charging in as well, so the Chariots just sweeping in to kind of help free up these Dragon Ogres who I want to get onto the bigger targets, and they did do some damage against the Mammoth, but for the most part I wasn't able to butter the bread like I wanted to. But the Chaos Boys and Warhounds have finished off the Marauder Hunters, so we got those guys off the table, and we did completely collapse this flank, pretty much where the Mammoths weren't, and our Hounds got through. We do have some Chaos Warriors through here, so these Marauder Hunters should be pretty much dealt with. So that's very good. That's the one aspect of the battle that I would say is going very well for me. Now in the Monster Mash, it started going a little bit better. My Giant was able to kind of beat down this Mammoth and Rampage. I did have to pull back Kholek though, because Kholek was losing that trade. It seemed like he was taking hits from the Mammoth and from Throg. And maybe his attacks all, maybe I wasn't microing effectively and they weren't going on to Throg, but nonetheless, the Giant's starting to get whooped on a little bit. There's actually a Shaman Sorcerer down here. There's a Big Daddy Feral Mammoth and Throg. And the Giant, unlike the Shaggoth, and that's typically why you do see multiple Shaggoths, is because they're a little bit quicker, but the Giant can't really escape. He's very slow. Throg, of course, has Frostbite, so very, very good play here by King of the Dead, just isolating this weakness and going after it. Now the Giant's going to be routing, but I do take this opportunity to run into the back of the Mammoth. I get a couple good attacks, and I also use a Spirit Leech. I'm just trying to get rid of the Mammoths. I know Throg is someone that it's, I mean, you can burn him out, but oftentimes he's someone that you want to save for last because he's going to be regenerating. So if you invest a lot of damage in him and you don't kill him, he'll come back, he'll heal, and all those resources will have been wasted, relatively speaking. So the Summoners of Rage are going to be piling in and running away. So I actually thought one was fighting over there, but I was like, didn't I pull those guys back? But we do get Throg on his own. So this is a huge game-changing moment. We have Throg away. We're going to be attacking with the Summoners and with Big Daddy Kholek, and he does have some supporting infantry, I think, or no, these are actually my Chaos Marauders. So this is a great situation. And now you can see that Throg's going to be starting to take some damage. Trollblight has gone down, which is going to lower his weapon damage and his armor, and Throg is starting to take a bit of a beating, guys. So very good situation. However, my Giant is running 450 HP on this bad boy. Definitely not fun losing him. But the Chariots are just doing great work. I mean, they have 38 kills, but they've just been running into the backs of these Norscan infantry and just plowing through. So I really like bringing the one Chariot. I felt like it was very effective against the lightly armored infantry of Norsca for only 775. On top of that, I do drop the juicy Soul Blight, so the Soul Blight hits all these troops. I have Chaos Warriors, Marauders piling in, so I think I'm definitely going to win this infantry fight. It looks like the Norscan troops are getting a little bit beleaguered. Granted, with the two Mammoths turning around, it's going to be a little bit spooky, but, Kholek is threatening perpetually. You can see the Shadow Sorcerer right here, or the Death Sorcerer, not Shadow, but same thing. Yeah, he has Doom and Darkness, so it's like the Purple Sun. But over here, we do isolate Throg, and Throg is actually shaken. If we could break Throg right here and chase him off the battlefield, that could be incredibly powerful. So Throg is so close to breaking, but it looks like he stabilizes as the big woolly Mammoth comes over there and rescues him. And I'm having to pull back with Kholek. Kholek does have the Doom and Darkness. He's shaken, so that's actually really playing a big factor here. And I'm trying to get the Summoners of Rage to attack the back of this Mammoth, but look at it, it's just such a close technical fight. We get one decent attack there, but they still have a ton of HP. 5,600 on this one. This one has 2,300. We do get a Spirit Leech on Throg as well, which maybe I should have used to break the Mammoth, but we pile in with the Hounds, we pile in with everyone. The Summoners of Rage, my Deathcaster's coming in, and Kholek's in the distance. He's having to play it careful. He only has 800 HP, and the Giant does come in as well, and it looks like he actually gets just clubbed by Throg with the Steel Chair. Throg coming in with his big old club, and before the Giant can get that really impactful attack, he's actually able to break me off with the Feral Mammoth. So these things are just such meat bags. I was surprised. I mean, this thing's at half health and it still has 5,000 HP, so that's something I really didn't account for. It takes quite some time to kill these guys, and they serve as a really good, high mass blocker against characters like Kholek, and then that allows, a little bit of time for Throg to get in there, for example. So the fight is pretty close. Bounce of Power is a little bit in King's favor, but if I'm able to get a good Alpha Strike with Kholek, maybe a rout off onto these Mammoths, and then from there get a little bullying on the on Big Daddy Throg with the Spirit Leech, maybe we should be able to pull this out. It's going to be close. Over here, we are able to break the last of the Marauder Champions, and in the distance, I don't really have any other anti-large tools. I had the Summoners of Rage and a few other lads there, but it looks like they're all pretty much going to be offline. So Kholek's going to be falling back to the troops right now. The Marauder Champions, it looks like there's only 4 of them. They're going to be coming in, and I'm going to be using the high mass of the Chariots to actually break the charge, and then from there I'm going to be following up. So the Shaman Sorcerer, or my Chaos Sorcerer, is going to be pulling back, and here comes Kholek versus Throg, the big old fight, but it looks like Throg gets the first hit, and I don't know if we made contact. We do make contact the second time, but Kholek is going to be going down. Big Daddy Throg with his Mammoths escorts right here, doing a beautiful job, and then from there the Mammoths are easily going to be able to run off the infantry. I mean, I try and get in with the Death Sorcerer, but he still has his Shaman Sorcerer, so he's able to fend me off. I'm just trying to break leadership using the Chariots, doing everything I can to claw my way back into this game. And this one Feral Mammoth is actually relatively broken. It's like it has 50, 60 leadership, give or take, so it's actually fair on top there. Or no, 26, I was actually looking at the speed characteristic. I was like, damn, that's some really good leadership right there. But that's pretty much going to be it. Big Daddy Throg is going to be healing from here, so any damage that I did get on him is going to just, he's going to heal up probably another 2,000-3,000 HP. I charge back in with the Chariots to try and make Surtha Ek proud, but that's going to be all she wrote, so very well played to King of the Dead. It was an incredibly close back and forth game. There was a couple moments where I wasn't quite able to break something, But I really think the biggest issue in that game in general, if I had to look at just objectively why I think I lost the game, I think that I was a little bit sloppy initially with my Kolek play, fighting Throg. I think I stood in there too long. I have the mobility. I should have pulled back. I should have engaged elsewhere, maybe gone after that isolated mammoth on the flank. And also on top of that, I let my giant get isolated, which is one of the things I really talked about in the beginning. I just didn't want that to happen. And he did a really good job killing everything around it, using the Doom and Darkness to rout off my troops with just a natural leadership break. And then from there, he just kind of collapsed on the giant. And that's 1,600 gold pretty much out the window. So in retrospect, I would probably cut the giant and maybe just cut one marauder. And then from there, just get a big old shaggy. I don't know about the Summoners of Rage. I mean, they did okay. And I know they're a good unit, but they don't really suit my playstyle too much. I might even be interested in getting some like Marauder Horsemasters or something. I feel like they're always pretty good. But yeah, the giant, something that I was on the fence about. It was a bit of an experimental pick. I just wanted to try it out against a good player. And I don't know, it didn't perform how I wanted it to, and I feel like the regular Shaggy is just so much better because he's so much quicker, and in the Norscan matchup, having that bonus first large is more useful than just having like a raw, hard-hitting beast. So I think going with the second Shaggoth would be the way to go. I might keep the Summoners of Rage. Hard to say. I could potentially cut them and get a couple Marauder Horsemasters who would be escorted by some of these hounds as well. And from there, I feel like you would be able to take out the Norsca Warhounds, plus get some really good fire. And Throg is lightly armored as well. So if you're throwing Marauder Horsemaster spears with 37 weapon damage on them, they could do some really good damage against Big Daddy Throg as well as these mammoths. So that would probably be what I'd change in retrospect. So very well played to King of the Dead. He had an awesome army. It's just really good mammoth play. And that's something that, I haven't been playing Chaos that much lately, and just getting back into them, I can see a lot has changed in the metagame, especially with the Feral Mammoths. I mean, they did get heavily buffed in the Curse of the Vampire Coast DLC, and these bad boys do work. On top of that, King of the Dead had really good micro. He was just on point, using them as blockers just to kind of take the charge, and they have so much HP that if they're taking these like meaty hits from like Kolek and some of my other Shaggoth pressure or the Dragon Ogres, I mean, they could absorb that. And then from there, Throg follows up with the Deathcaster, and those guys just do some work. So very, very well played to King. It was an awesome game, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this Warriors of Chaos versus Norsca showdown. Have an excellent night, guys, and take care.